What's going on, guys? So I've got a specific topic that I do every single season. The fall and autumn season is among us, so it's time to talk about some beast mode fragrances. And these are all ridiculously long lasting, some stronger in projection than others, but all very long lasting and all very strong and pronounced coming off of my skin. We've got cheap, we've got mid-level designer, we've got niche, we've got a little bit of everything in this video, so there's bound to be something that might interest you that you may want to look into and get your nose on. So let's talk about them. Stay tuned. So those of you that have been watching here and there throughout the year at least have heard me say that the theme of the year for me is reaching back in my collection. This is one that I have not wore in some time. It is a straight up vanilla tonka bean monster. We are talking about Armani Code Absolu. This is a favorite among a lot of people. Admittedly, I don't like it near as much as I like Profumo, but it's one that, I don't know, I sprayed it when I was debating on what fragrances to put in this video. Sprayed it on skin, loved how it smelled. I already know it's a monster on my skin. Figured why not? Maybe that's a sign that this needs to be in this video. Let's talk about it. So here we are. Powdery, sweet, and still creamy at the same time. Vanilla and tonka bean obviously are not the only notes. There's a little bit of woods here as well. There's a little bit of freshness at the top, but that's the main things you're going to get. It is a sweet and powdery, creamy fragrance. Tonka bean and vanilla, bomb. Definitely on the more seductive side. If your lady likes sweet fragrances, she's really going to want to sniff on you and cuddle when you wear this fragrance. That's been my experience. My wife really loves the way this one smells. It's been a long time since she smelled it. It's been a long time since I've worn it. And like I said, that's why I wanted to start the video with this one, because this particular fragrance is what sparked this video topic idea in the first place, because it's kind of the poster child for it, to be honest with you. Still pretty easy to find for a decent price. They have Absolu Gold, which was a flanker that came out after this. Never tried that one, but I can tell you Absolu's pretty good. Had to grow on me. There was a time when I didn't really care for it, but I don't know, I'm really digging it currently, so I felt like we'd start the video with it. It's Giorgio Armani Code Absolu. Next is a clone fragrance of a very popular Jean Paul Gaultier fragrance. We're talking about Ultra Male. Ultra Male is known to be a sweet, spicy beast. And I can tell you right now, Afnan's 9 p.m. is even stronger than Ultra Male. This stuff, it's fruitier. It's definitely fruitier in the top. There's no pear note like in Ultra Male. This one's more fruity, sweet apple. But it's pretty damn accurate. This is like 90% realm of scent profile accuracy. This is actually a smoother fragrance. It's not as screechy and synthetic as Ultra Male. I feel like the oil quality is a bit better here, and performance is bananas. It's nuclear. On my skin, it just goes and goes and goes. Super, super strong. Room filler if you spray this one on the moderate to heavy side, and you can get it in the, $30-ish range. It's ridiculous what you can get this fragrance for and what you get for your money. Afnan does a great job, I have to say. The quality of the oils they use definitely puts them a cut above other similar clone companies like your Armafs and your Rasasis. Granted, I would still rank Rasasi over Armaf as well, but Afnan has kind of separated itself from the crowd for these Middle Eastern, majority of them are clones company, because majority of their stuff is clones for sure. But this one, man, it's in a league of its own, in my opinion, at the price point, because it definitely does not smell like a $30 to sub $30 price point fragrance. Like I said, performance is absolutely bananas. The scent quality is great. It's a compliment killer. This stuff is amazing. Check this one out if you haven't yet. It's Afnan, 9 p.m. Not an overwhelming room-filling beast. Definitely strong, pronounced, with a thick and dense trail. That's the magic in this one because of the thick honey sweetness. We are talking about Paco Rabanne's 1 Million Lucky. I love this stuff. This is such a good fragrance. Can still be found pretty easily online. sweet fruits, hazelnut, honey, woods. It's very playful. It's youthful and sweet, but it's extremely attractive and pretty damn intoxicating. It has gourmand facets to it, obviously, with these delectable notes like honey, like plum, like hazelnut. But I don't know, it's just something about it. It definitely leans to the more synthetic side. This stuff is easily 10 hours on my skin every time I spray it. And like I said, the first few hours, pretty damn strong in projection, but the magic is when the projection calms down because it's got a pretty dense sillage. This stuff has a pretty good cloud that will linger when you walk away. When you leave a room, you will leave a nice trail that will definitely leave a good impression. This stuff smells great, and this is kind of the main time that I like to wear it is the fall season because I feel like it's quintessential fall for those of you that like sweet fragrances. Obviously, we've started off with a few sweet ones here. Not everything in the video is sweet, I promise. But this is definitely one of the better ones out there. If you're looking for performance, a little bit of uniqueness, and a lovely sweet aroma, check out 1 Million Lucky from Paco Rabanne. From a bunch of sweet to let's go with cheap, boozy, and spicy, but does not smell cheap. We're talking about the original Bentley for Men. You can get this in the sub $30 price point. Performance is a solid 10 to 12 hours. Easy, strong projection, a lot of rum, a lot of spice, some dense woods. Doesn't have all of the smoke and the heavy dose of leather that the Intense has. This is much more smooth, still robust, but smoother overall. A bit more wearable and more my taste over the Intense. And like I said, I can't imagine not wearing this in the fall. Admittedly, I don't wear it over and over in the fall and winter, but I just love this one. This is my favorite version of Bentley for Men. This is my favorite Bentley fragrance in general. Those of you that have been watching me for a while, you've heard me talk about this one. I did a comparison / battle video between this and the Intense. This is my choice 10 out of 10 times over the Intense. I can tell you, I hardly ever spray the Intense because this one's just so good. I firmly believe this is the better of the two, even though the Intense has been hyped to death over the years. And yes, it's a great fragrance, but for my taste personally, I'll take the more smooth, boozy, and spicy take on the DNA every single time. Check this one out. It's a beast. The quality's there. It's cheap and spicy, boozy fragrance lovers. If you like either of those accords, you'll like this. This is the original Bentley for Men. Youthful, playful, cheap, sub $40 price point. In the mid to low 30s, you can get this one. It's an absolute savage in performance in my experience. We're talking about Davidoff's Cool Water Intense. I do like my Cool Water flankers, and this one is the strongest of the bunch. I've had people comment recently, because I recently did a review on the Grapefruit and Sage flanker, talk about that this was not the beast as advertised and hyped and such. That's a skin chemistry thing, because I can tell you, this stuff is a monster. I was sick at the recording of this beginning of the year in January. I did 2 sprays as a wear one day in January, and I just had this crazy scent cloud around me all day long from just 2 sprays. So it's definitely a skin chemistry thing. Amber coconut, but it still has that bubblegummy kind of almost sage ambroxan type of feel. If you have grapefruit and sage, it'll remind you of it, but there's just as much difference as there is similarity. Grapefruit and sage does smell like a fresher take on this, but this is much more on the ambroxan shower gel bubblegum side of things on my skin. I've always been an advocate for this one and a fan. It's a monster for me personally. Get a decant, try it out, see how you feel about it if you can. It's a cheap fragrance that performs well above its price point in my experience. Like I said, low 30s, and you get this kind of performance as long as you like these youthful, playful scents. Like I said, very bubblegum type of smell. And I don't mean literally like chewing bubblegum, but it will remind you of it. There's some amber and some coconut going on here as well to give it a little bit of character, but it's definitely not a deep scent. But it's a beast. And it smells great out in the air. Davidoff Cool Water Intense. So this is one that my wife recently surprised me with this. I sprayed it on my arm not long ago. She said she didn't care for how it smelled. Then, when I was putting this video together, I sprayed it out in the air, and she came in the room a few minutes later and said, "Ooh, it smells amazing in here." I said, "Really? The other day you told me you didn't like it." She said, "No, it smells awesome. What is that?" And I showed her Dior Homme Intense, and she was surprised. Sprayed it on my arm again. She's like, "No, I like it." So, I don't know. Maybe she was having a bad day when she didn't like it or something, because this stuff is amazing. This stuff will stick to your skin forever. That has been my experience. The last time I wore this, which was the time she said she didn't care for it, it was still on my arm the next day when I went to the gym. And I had sprayed it during the day when the sun was still out the prior day. Just random spray to smell it on my forearm. And I guess I didn't scrub well enough right there when I showered because it was still there the next day. It's more of a longevity and sillage type of beastliness than it is projection. Yeah, sure, in the first hour or so, projection's going to be loud. You're going to have a robust cloud around you. But as that projection settles down and it gets close to the skin, the sillage is the magic here. It's going to stay on your skin for a really long time, and the trail is lovely and gorgeous. It's got this vanillic, musky sweetness to it. It's not heavy on the leather like the Parfum. It's not as heavy on the freshness like Dior Homme Original. This is definitely the sweeter take of the Dior Homme line that features iris, and it still has that waxy, lipsticky makeup bag fantasy iris note that made this line so famous. This stuff is delectable, it is delightful, it's very dressy and formal, but believe it or not, I like to wear this one with a t-shirt from time to time, especially in those mild fall days. It's the time that I'm going to want to wear it. We're moving into that season. Get a decant and try this. This is the previous version. This is not Dior Homme Intense 2020 to now. This is a previous version. This is a big 5.1 ounce bottle before they reformulated them, and it's fantastic. Get your nose on this one if you haven't yet. One of the best sweet irises ever created is Dior Homme Intense. Now, this one has received some hype recently. I'm guilty of putting some hype around this one recently myself because I've really been enjoying it lately. Most recently, I wore it in a Montale themed week. We're talking about Montale Wood and Spices. This stuff is super beastly. This stuff lingers, and it really projects heavy off of the skin. Obviously, there's some lighter blonde woods. It's light and powdery. It's creamy. It's fresh and spicy. It's got a little bit of oud in there, but it doesn't really have much of a oud smell. It's more of this wormwood feel. It's a beautiful, beautiful scent profile. And that's gonna really fill this area for a few minutes. This stuff is, I smell it still. This is such a stout scent profile. Super attractive. My wife loves this one. Very versatile. This one can double as a great daytime scent. Casually right on into dressing nice, going to a nice dinner with reservations. This fragrance can do just about everything, depending on how much you want to spray it and your setting on how close the confinement is, because it's very, very strong. In a small confined space, this is not a good choice. This stuff is super beastly for sure, but you can get it in the sub $100 price point, more in that $60, $70, $80 range from discounters online. If you're okay with getting a tester like I have, where the stem sticks through the atomizer, it doesn't come off and cover the neck, and a white tester box, if you're okay with that, you can get this around 70 bucks, maybe a little less if you're lucky, but this is really good stuff. You don't need a lot of sprays. This is one that 3 to 5 sprays is a lot for this fragrance. If you're the heavy spraying type, you're 100% filling the room everywhere you go, and people are going to smell you for several minutes after you leave the room. If you're looking for that kind of attention, this might be the fragrance for you. That's Montale Wood and Spices. Next is a Fall Beast classic at this point. It's only been out for a few years, but this is like quintessential fall blue fragrance. A lot of people like to wear this one in the fall. It's Yves Saint Laurent's Y, Eau de Parfum. Beautiful, sweet, fruity apple. Nice, slightly aquatic, salty hit of ambergris. A little bit of sage. Performance is ridiculous. I love the scent profile. I like all of the Y fragrances. All of them. The old version of the EDT, the new version, Eau Fraiche, Live, and of Le Parfum. I don't have a bottle, I have a decant. I'll get a bottle eventually. And definitely when fall rolls around, this is one of my favorites to wear when I want something pronounced, something that's going to make a statement because it's so strong off of my skin. This is definitely that. And the added bonus, my wife absolutely loves pretty much everything YSL. She loves every time I wear anything in this line, any of the L'Homme flankers, any of the La Nuit de l'Homme flankers. It doesn't matter. If it's YSL, she's probably going to like it, and she absolutely adores this one. If you're looking for a good time with an easygoing scent that really reaches out and grabs people, compliment magnet type of stuff, this is definitely one of those fragrances for you. And that's Yves Saint Laurent, YSL, Y Eau de Parfum. Definitely not a hype beast choice here. I'm one of the few and proud that I know of that absolutely love this fragrance. Another big 200 ml bottle in my collection that I'm happy to have. This stuff stays on my skin, seems like forever. Every single time I wear it, it stays forever. I have witnessed going anosmic to this and getting compliments 7, 8, 9 hours into the life of the fragrance. So the trail is just ridiculously strong on this one. We're talking about Dior Sauvage Parfum. See, I could have went with the Elixir here, because that's a beastly fragrance too, don't get me wrong. The Elixir's a potent son of a bitch. It's a bad mamma jamma. Whereas Sauvage Parfum is kind of more so something that's my particular taste. Even though I really like the Elixir, this is my favorite version of Sauvage. It's the biggest Sauvage bottle that I have for a reason. Not just because I got a great price on it a few years ago, but this is the one for me. It's on the smoky, resinous, sweeter side. Very woody, dark, mysterious. It kind of lingers when you leave a room. It's not too loud of projection, but the trail is robust. That's usually the case for me. I don't need you to smell me from 10 to 15 feet away, but boy, if I walk out the room and you can smell me within 10 to 15 feet of you walking that same path, that's pretty damn cool to me. A strong trail is much more appealing to me than standing still and hitting you from across the room. Unless it's well circulated, then this will do the same thing. So not the absolute strongest beast in projection, but it's lasts forever on skin for me, and it's one that it lingers. It will hang out in the air. In a well-circulated room, most people will smell you, and when you walk by them, they will get a nice hit of the aroma. Whether they say anything or not, they will smell it. This is some good stuff for sure. Underrated. Some people don't care for it, but I love it. It's definitely beastly for what I like, for sure. It's Dior Sauvage Parfum. Last but most certainly not least, this is a newer release from Mancera that is a 45% oil concentration. It's so strong, I go anosmic to it almost immediately. It is an intense Cedrat Boise. It's a more spicy and animalic version of the original. Like I said, 45% oil concentration. This stuff lingers super strong early on. My nose wears out within 20 to 30 minutes. And you'll think it's gotten weak. And then 8, 9, 10 hours into the life of the fragrance, I'll get random strong whiffs because it's got such a monstrous sillage. This stuff is stout. Very, very stout performer. Outshines the original in performance like it's a night and day difference. You will smell the original. There is some redundancy here. You still get that fruity freshness. You have that black currant fruitiness. You have that lemon zestiness in the top. You have a lot of that feel of the original. You don't lose all of the freshness by the oil concentration and the spice being dialed up, but it's much more warm overall, spicy. The Cambodian oud here adds a little bit of an animalic tone to go with that leathery, musky feel that's already in the base. This is gorgeous. I love this fragrance. And it had to be in this video because it's an absolute freaking beast. This stuff is an absolute beast. Get your nose on this one. Get a sample. Try before you buy for sure. With Mancera, Intense Cedrat Boise. Well, that's the 10 that I have for you today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback. And I love hearing from you guys. What in this video have you tried already? We had a little bit of everything. We got a cheap clone. We got some cheap car company fragrances, mid-level designers that are cheap, on up to, you know, slightly more expensive designers. We have a niche fragrance in here, some blue fragrances. There's a little bit of everything. There's something for everyone here. We got sweet, we got spicy. I feel like we covered most of the bases here. So I hope this video was helpful for some of you. Like I said, what have you tried in this video? I'm curious to see what you guys think down in the comments. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of these 10 and you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.